Okay, hello again. So our next discussion will be on cash management. After cash management, we still have inventory and accounts receivable management, then capital budgeting. But before that, we still have financing current assets and capital budgeting. So I have to prepare three videos after this, no? Then we're done with the whole semester. Okay, so let's have cash management. Actually, kasi ito class, magkakadugtong to, yung working capital management because working capital includes cash, inventory, and receivables. So, after this, yun yung kasunod natin. So, by next week, I will be giving you the last three, siguro, or last two, yung dalawa, then last is will be the capital budgeting. Okay, so let's start with our discussion. Okay, cash management. So our topics will be cash and why cash management. Siguro at this point, meron na kayong idea why cash management. What are the reasons for holding cash balances and determining the cash balances, the target cash balance, optimal cash balance, anong pagkakaiba na? So later, no? Then the cash management techniques. Of course, as financial manager, you have to know the different techniques in managing cash. Siguro hindi naman lahat kasi yung iba makukuha nyo through experience, but at least you have an idea why should we, no? Or how should we manage cash, personally or in business. Okay, next. You know, Peter Drucker, si Peter Drucker is an Australian-American, no, na kilala sa modern business. Okay. He believes that entrepreneurs that believe that profit is what matters most in a new enterprise. Totoo yan. Actually, not all in new. Kahit sa mga luma or all enterprises. Ang laging tanong, magkano kita? Magkano kita? Magkano? Ganon. But profit is secondary according to Peter Drucker because cash flow matters most. Okay? And revenue is vanity, profit is sanity. Okay, tama yan, no? Revenue, gusto mo, parang wow, ang laki ng benta ko. Profit is okay din, but cash is the king. Okay? As long as you manage it well. Okay, let's start with the first one. When we say cash, it is the lifeblood of every business. Cash is the most liquid current asset a firm can hold. Okay, di ba? Talaga naman yan yung pinakaliquid. Efficient cash management helps the company to remain healthy and strong. Poor cash management may end up pushing the company to a crisis. Do you believe in it? Actually, kahit hindi sa company, even your personal, pagka hindi ka efficient, then wala. Manalo ka sa loto ngayon, hindi ka efficient to handle it. Sorry. Why cash management? Cash management aims at reducing the amount of free cash that is being held by firm. So, ang tingin natin, no, kapag marami kang cash sa bank, it's good. But, oh, wow, ang dami ng cash. But technically, no, ibig sabihin, you manage your cash well if you reduce the amount. Yung wala kang ganong cash, kasi you invested it. As long as you have enough cash for the operation, hindi naman yung katulad nung kanina na kulang ang cash mo, then you resorted to a loan, no? To borrow kasi kulang yung operating mo. So, yun. To keep the investment in cash as low as possible ito yung sinasabi ko, while still keeping the firm operating efficiently and effectively. Parang ganito, you have your cash for your operations, hindi ka nagkukulang pag sinabi, you can supply very well, etc. And at the same time, you have your free cash which will be invested, which will earn additional income for the company. So that's the reason why we will have to manage cash wisely or good to we should manage it better, no, than anything else. So when we say cash, when you are talking about cash, so simply from the revenue, increasing revenue for the operations, for profit, for money, for maintenance. So that's the use of cash. So if we don't have enough cash, how could we maintain? How could we invest? How could we operate the cycle? How could we earn revenues? How could we give dividends, diba, if we don't have enough cash? Now, how are we going to hold cash? What are the reasons for holding cash balances? Reasons for holding cash balances is, first is transaction facilitation. Facilitation means it involves the use of cash to pay for planned business expenditures. So yung mga normal transaction mo, you can facilitate it if you have yan yung pang-operation mo, di ba? You can pay your suppliers, your payrolls, your taxes, your bills. You can acquire long-term assets. You can give dividends. So, that's the reasons why you are holding cash. Siyempre, dapat meron ka. Second is, you have reason is the precautionary motive, meaning you keep enough cash for emergency purposes. Aside from dun sa una, for operation. Next is compliance with creditors' covenant. To comply with the requirements of lending institution. For an instance, you want to expand. Hindi naman may iwasan. I am not telling na hindi tayo mangungutang. If it's for expansion, then why not? Diba? If it will earn more than the interest that you will incur, go. Kaya lang, kailangan mo meron kang ipakitang cash. Ganyan pag naglo-loan, diba? Tinitingnan nila yung cash balance mo. Yung cycle ng cash mo. So, to comply for the requirements. And of course, investment opportunities. For you to take advantage of the investment opportunities because opportunities knocks once lang yan. So, but if you don't, may investment opportunities, alam mo talaga kikita yun eh. And if you don't have enough or extra cash for that, then so sad, hindi tayo makakapag-invest. Okay? Halimbawa, bigla na lang yung mga raw materials na kailangan mo nag-sale, mahaba-haba pa ang sabihin natin ma-expired yun or what, di ba? So, sayang. Okay. So, next. Bumalik. Next is the target cash balances. Actually, ito, na-discuss na natin ito previously dun sa budgeting, no? Yung yung paano tayo gagawa ng cash budget. Okay, cash budget, may three way in approaches or of how are we going to determine the cash balance. The cash budget, sa cash budget, cash break-even chart, at optimal cash balance. For cash budget, it is tool to represent the expected cash inflows. So ito, simple lang naman itong gagawin natin. You just record all the inflows, deduct the outflows, then that's it. Then ito bago to. Cash break-even chart. It shows the relationship between the company's cash needs and cash sources. And of course, the last will be yung optimal cash balance, no? Okay, let's start. Sample problem. XYZ manufactures plastic which sells to other industrial users. The monthly production capacity of the company is 1,200,000 kilos. Selling price is 2 pesos per kilo. Fixed monthly payments amounting to 250 and variable cash payments are 50% of sales. So parang break-even point ito, class, di ba? What is break-even point? It is a point wherein yung nabenta mo will be equivalent to cover all your expenses. Then any excess of that number na binibenta mo, you will be earning a profit for it after deducting expenses or the variable expenses. So, determine the cash break-even and prepare cash break-even chart. So, the formula is fixed monthly payments. You divided by the which is sales divide variable cost 6. Remember yung break-even natin kasi it's fixed cost over what? CMR, no? The contribution margin. Parang ito yun, no? Sales i-minus mo yung VCR. So that's CMR. Yan din yun, di ba? So let's start. 250,000, which is ito yan, fixed monthly, ano? Then 100% of course the percentage of sales and the 50% ang variables. So divide, of course the CMR is 50. And our cash break-even point is 500,000 or 250 kilos of plastic. So when we're going to make it a chart, ito siya, ito-chart mo siya, no? So this one, kung saan sila nagkita. Tama ba? This chart shows the relationship between the company's cash needs and cash sources. It indicates the minimum amount of cash that should be maintained to enable the company to meet its obligation. So sinasabi dito na at least meron tayong 500,000 cash na mini-maintain and target balance. Okay. Next is the optimal cash balance. So when we say optimal cash balance, when we say optimum, it's best. Diba? Best balance. Ano ba magiging best balance? So we have two models. The Baymol's model as model's assumption and the Miller-Orr model. Kaya ganyan yung mga ginagawa kasi sila yung naka-invent ng model. Under Baymol's model assumptions, the first assumption of this model is that the firm is able to forecast correctly and precisely the amount of cash required by it. So, ibig sabihin, we forecast, we project, we correctly and precisely yung kailangan natin. No? This model includes the cost associated with transferring cash from investment to cash account to finance inventories and the opportunity cost of holding the balance and inventories. So, ibig sabihin, ito, yung kaya mong i-maintain yung operation. Okay? The minimum cost of cash balance are achieved when we say C, yung amount na nire-raise natin will be equivalent doon sa optimal amount of cash na i-raise natin. C asterisk. So, pag sinabing C, itong C, yan yung amount of cash na na-raise. Ito naman isa is to be raised. So, if they are equal, then that's the optimum balance or optimal cash balance. So, this is the formula. Okay, math siya, no? Ano sabi ito? Square root, no? Of 2 times the total amount of net new cash required times fixed cost of trading securities or cost of borrowing over the opportunity of holding cash, or 2 times T. T stands for this one, the total amount of new cash needed, and F is equals to the fixed cost over K, the opportunity cost. Okay, let's have sample problem. Consider a business with a total payments of 10 million for a year. Cost per transaction is 100 and the interest rate is 8%. What is the optimum balance? So ito yan. Itong 10M, yan yung required. Yung kanina, yan, cash needed. Diba? And then, what's the fixed cost? Itong transaction cost, it's 100. Then what is the holding or the opportunity cost? It's 8%. So when we do the math, the answer will be 79,057. Okay, next. So for now, you just remember how to do it kasi magbibigay ako ng, after all the discussion of the topics, I will be giving you sample problems about it. Okay? Nagagawin mo na. And of course, you can use it for dun sa mga problems na or cases na nabigay sa inyo. Then the next model is the Miller-Orr model. Ito naman, this model assumes that the net cash flows are normally distributed with a zero value of mean and standard deviation. So to compute for Z, the formula Z, E, ito. Okay? And H, ito. Ano ba yung Z? It's the optimal cash return point, and H is the upper control limit for cash balance. We have here our problem. Suppose a business would like to maintain a minimum level of 100,000 cash balance, but expect a standard deviation of net daily cash flows at 5,000. The rate is 8% and trading cost per sale is 200, what is the optimal cash balance? Using the math, no? Itong ano, ito, interest yan, interest per day. The daily interest rate, okay, divided by, of course, the rate divided 365, so yun na yun. Then, using this formula, for the optimal cash return, so ito na yun. And of course, the upper control limit. So this one. Okay. Are we still good? Then next is, what are the techniques, no? So yun kanina, we're just compute the optimal balance. Ano ba yung minimum level na dapat natin i-maintain? So you can use of those things, no? Synchronized cash flows. So when we say synchronized cash flows, kailangan pag may outflows ka, may inflows ka. Hindi pwedeng puro outflows. Parang yung sample natin sa working capital. Imagine mo you will be having an outflow on 67th day. And yet, yung inflows mo on the 120th day pa. So hindi sila nag-synchronize. They do not coincide. Diba? So, dapat mas earlier. O dapat sabay. Wala kang lugi. Diba? Next, using float. Ano ba yung float? Coke float? Ano ba yung Coke float? Float, di ba may float siya? Lumulutang. Okay. In accounting, ganun lang, no? Lumulutang. Okay. When we say float, it is the difference. Lumulutang. The difference of balances shown in the firm book and bank. Yun yung nakahang na balances. Bakit nagkakaroon ng hang na balances? If you remember your bank reconciliation, you have your credit memos, debit memos, outstanding checks, etc. No? So when we say float is defined as the difference between the balance shown in the firm's books and the balance on the bank's record. Yan, I just read it from the book. So pag sinabi natin disbursement float, yun, nag-issue ka ng check eh. You issued 50,000 a day, then for on the average, on 5 days, you have 250 disbursements. For collection naman, di ba? That's the check naman. Meron kang mga nag-receive na check na assuming 50,000 in a day, in 4 days, you have 200. Then if you have 250 disbursement, 200 na collection, then there will be positive, no? Positive 250 disbursement and then negative collections, then you have a positive 50,000. So if the net flows is positive, the disbursement is more than the collection. If that is the case, a firm with a positive net flow can use it to use the advantage and maintain a smaller cash balance than it would have in the absence of the flow. So, kaya lang, itong float na to kasi, ngayon kasi class, ano na ang bilis na lang, parang one day na lang hindi katulad nun kasi may tinatawag na clearing process. So, parang mag-issue ka lang ng check hindi agad. So, parang magagamit mo pa within 3 days, 5 days. Dati yun, ngayon hindi. Pagka-deposit mo, parang naka-minus na agad due to technology. Dati kasi, mag-issue ka ngayon. So, sa book mo, nakabawas na siya. Pero in reality, magagamit mo pa yung cash. Pwede mo pang antayin yung collection mo before you can pay it. Pero mag-ingat ka lang, no? Kasi may penalty pag tumalbog yung check. So that's it. That's using float, no? Parang ginagamit mo lang yung days. Delaying tactics, in short. Next is accelerating cash collection. So yan, yun yung problema natin kanina dun sa working capital. Medyo matagal, di ba? 55 days. Kung ang terms natin is 30 days lang. So baka naman may problema tayo with the collection team. So yun din yung remedy na sinabi kanina, di ba? Then controlling disbursements. How are we going to control the disbursement? Is the disbursement of funds? How are we going to slow the disbursement of funds? Centralize mo yung processing ng payables. Diba? Paano centralize? Eh di, sa isang gawaan lang. Diba? Tapos mag-set ka ng strategy. Every Friday ang collection afternoon. Sabihin mo, bakit kaya every Friday? Para hindi na nila ma-deposit. Diba? Yun yung reason. Okay? O kaya, sa payroll mo, kung dati weekly, gawin mo semi, okay, monthly para mas matagal-tagal, then you can make use of cash, di ba? Ganon, something like that. And then, ito, getting available funds. But make sure, ito lang ang ano ko dyan, for additional funds, make sure that when you are getting available funds, make sure that the earnings will, over or sobra dapat, will exceed the cost of capital. Halimbawa, ang interest rate na babayaran mo sa bangko sa inutang mo is 8%. So make sure you earn more than 8%. You can double it, triple it. Kasi otherwise, sayang. Di ba? Lugi. Okay, so those are the discussions about cash management. I'll see you again next week with the inventory and accounts receivable as well as financing current assets. And hopefully I can finish the capital budgeting so that we're done with the subject. Okay, thank you for listening.